Hello everyone, thank you for being there today. I'm Aurélie Baker from Aerospace Valley. Aerospace Valley, it's a French cluster in space and aerospace sector. And we are glad to organize this year a Copernicus Hackathon and a Climathon. We decided to merge these two events in order to propose an event where we can find new solutions to fight climate changes thanks to space data. And today we are glad to welcome Marta Bertran from the DIAS WEkEO. And WEkEO is our main partner in space data, and they will help us during the Copernicus Hackathon and Climathon to by giving us some data and deliver some advice and help the applicants to find the good data, the more accurate data to be used for fight climate changes. So Marta, I'll let you explain what we are doing thanks to WEkEO and what you can what we can do with this data.
Okay, thank you very much. I will start with an introduction of the main steps that participants can take to use WEkEO, and I will try to do some small technical demos on how to access this data. I don't know if you have ever heard about WEkEO, but in short, WEkEO is an European cloud platform where users can access Copernicus data for free and request processing resources to work with this data on the cloud. For this hackathon, you are suggested to use WEkEO as a tool to develop your project ideas. WEkEO is being developed between three institutions, EUMETSAT, ICMWF, and Mercator Ocean. And all of them are providing data and technical knowledge to develop this data and information access system, this DIAS. WEkEO is being widely used by different types of users, including research institutions, companies, and universities, among others. The data provided in WEkEO is Copernicus data. And as you might know, this is an Earth observation monitoring program that gathers data about the Earth, the climate, the ocean, the land, and the atmosphere. Therefore, WEkEO will be very useful for you to use during this hackathon, as the data available is very close and very related to the suggested topics for this Copernicus hackathon and Climathon. So basically at the hackathon, or like the main steps that you need to know are three. The first one is to register at WEkEO. The second one is to search and download data. And the third one is to access the cloud infrastructure. On the day of the hackathon, me and some of my colleagues from WEkEO, we will provide you with on-site support for questions that might come up, or on the procedure and how to download this data. And also there will be other experts for questions about the meteorological data and others. As explained previously in another video, it is very important that you register in advance so that we can prepare the infrastructure as much as possible before the day of the event. And you have more information about the guidelines on registration in a tutorial that we already did with Aerospace Valley, and I think it is already available in their YouTube channel. Let's see first how to search for data. I'm going to show you very quickly the WEkEO website, which I haven't done yet. So this is our main website. That's also where you can find the registration on the top. Right now I'm using an account for demos, so that's why you cannot see the word register, but you would see it over there. You have all the main sections here to access the main functionalities of WEkEO, and also under the username you can find much more. I will explain later how it works. Now our focus is on the data, on how to search for data. And as I have here in my slides, you can see that there are two types of ways to access the data. One of them is the basic search, and the other is the extended search. And at the end, it depends on how you find it faster to find the data that you want. Usually you have under the search, the basic search, you have some suggestions of data sets, but finally, if you have a very clear mind on use a particular type of data, you can filter here for many different parameters. Let's say, for example, the platform, like Sentinel-3, or the type of sensor, optical sensor. So you can just try a little bit using this menu, or you can just type here a keyword, for example, temperature, and you can see that there are many data sets available. Having seen the two ways that we can find data sets, let's see how we can find the key information about data set. Basically, usually we have a description of the data set and then some more additional information on the left side of the page. And we have, for example, for this Sentinel-1 data set, we have the temporal extent. So if we want to study some, this is a land data set. So let's say if we want to study before 2014, we might not find data, but we could find it easily for 2015, 16, and so on. Also, it is available for the whole world. So, and then we can just select a small area. I will show you later. Let's see now how to download data. As I have already said, we can, once we have registered, we can just go to the second step. And this step is in fact two. One is the search and the other is the download of data itself. Let's see how to download the data. We have three types of download available in WEkEO. And again, it also depends on your skills, on your interest, on how you find it easier to use one or another. The first one is through the Dataset Navigator, which is the search tool I have previously shown. The second one is with the use of Jupyter notebooks, and this might involve some Python programming. So this might be a very good option for people that are already familiar with Python. And the third one is done through the virtual machines that I will explain later. So if we go to the first option through the Dataset Navigator, once we have found one dataset of interest, we can just go to this section, Harmonized Data Access on WEkEO. Here there will appear some parameters for us to select. And as I was saying, we can just select the time range, for example, 2016, almost 1 month of data, and then select a geographical area. I don't know if you can see it properly here. So I can just do it also on the website right now. And if I go here and I type Sentinel-1, yes, I can find this data set and go to the Harmonized Data Access. To access this page, you need to be logged in. That's why I started with my session logged in. Otherwise, you can only search for data, but you cannot actually download data. You can only see what is available. So I can just select some parameters of both satellites. And this is like the same that was on the slides. So be careful because here you have to include the data from and to. So from and then to, for example, here, set. And then I'm gonna select more or less the type of area that we had before. And once I have all the data chosen, I can submit the download. While this is being downloaded, I can just keep with my presentation. It was just a bit that you could see that. We have 30 minutes, so that's why I already prepared some of the results to go faster. Because showing the whole platform is it's a bit long, but then once you are using it and you decide only one way to download the data is fast. So for example, let's say here I submitted the download, okay? And then I have this result. So I can see the product count. I think it's 200, I don't know, it's 27 something. So I can see the details. And the details show a list of data to download. And these are zip files. So to visualize this data, then you might need some unzip program file additional in your computer, and some additional GIS software. For example, we used QGIS here to show this Sentinel-1 image, so a slide of it. And yes, that's basically how it would work. You can also use Panoply instead. For example, I have another different data set downloaded, and here I can see this is a data set for temperature. And with this other tool, I can also visualize it. So in this case, it was some temperature in the Arctic Sea. It is very small. So depending on the accuracy that you want for the data, it might be better to use one or another. If I continue now with the other ways of downloading data, we can just go to the access through Jupyter Notebooks. As I was saying, this might require a little bit of Python programming in advance, but it can still be used because it's a very guided step-by-step solution. So as you can see here, we have to go to the main page of WeKeo. Under the username, we can find the Jupyter Hub option, and then we click My Server, and we go to a folder that is samples. There we can find this document, How to Guide Harmonized Data Access. And here there is this step-by-step program already prepared, in which you can select the parameters that allow you to download your data set. This requires an additional step, which is getting an API key. And for that, we have to go to another page of WeKeo, that is the API subscriptions. And in these API subscriptions, we can see, and we can also find it under the username, and then we can just go here and click these two buttons. The idea is that these API subscriptions let us, it's like the Jupyter Notebooks itself recognize our account. So once we have done this, then we can just follow with the steps of the Jupyter Notebooks. I think it might be easier with a demo on our map. I'm gonna check, yeah, the request before has finished already. And we have here the data sets that we could download. It would be so long to do it now. So I'm just gonna show the Jupyter Hub option. As I said before, we have these two buttons. We have to go to My Server and go to Samples. Actually, this workspace, the advantages of Jupyter Notebooks is that you don't need to download the data in your computer. You can just download it in this workspace and work with the data from here. That's why there is these product folders, and I have already data from other times downloaded. And then there is the Samples folder, in which we can access this Jupyter Notebook. As I was saying, this is a code that is explained step by step, but you see here that we need this API key. Then there are many other steps that we don't need to worry about, and just we need to modify the parameters. Sorry, first we need to modify the name of the data set. Here we have one example for ice in the Arctic. And then we can just go through the whole code. And here we can just select, the time range and the bounding box, that is the geographical area that we want to use. And then more, we can see the status of results. So we can download one product. That's what we'll do in a minute. And we can also see the list of downloads. If we click this link, we could download the data again in our computer if we want to store it in our computer. But if we don't want to download it on the computer, we can just skip that step and have it on our Jupyter Notebooks workspace. And once we download the data from here, it will appear in this folder called products. The advantage of Jupyter Notebooks is at the end, you can access your data directly here and do some calculations, some additional plots, as I was explaining here in this slide. So this is, for example, the filtered ice concentration in the southern hemisphere. And so that's you can also do other kind of calculations that you might need. I'm going to show you very quickly how to do that, because it's easier than it seems. So if I go to the main WekEO page again, and just directly go to the API subscriptions, refresh the token and show the hidden keys. For this code, we only need what is here available. We copy this code and we paste it here. So this key will allow us to download the data with Jupyter Notebooks. I uncomment this line, and then I just have to run section by section to download the data. I get a token that is valid for 1 hour. I can run all the sections all together. So there is this asterisk showing that the process is being done. Sometimes it takes a while. I'm just gonna leave them running and then check what is going on with it. And so I'm gonna also keep explaining other functionalities, but for the Jupyter Notebooks, at the end, it is something like that, what is shown, and it's like also an CDF file that is stored on our workspace. Hopefully we can see it in a couple of minutes. And the last part of WekEO is the processing resources. As I was explaining before, we have these 3 ways of downloading data. And so these processing resources are the last step that might be useful for this hackathon. The idea is that during this Copernicus Hackathon Climathon, each team will have a virtual machine, and you will be given some credentials for this virtual machine that are different from the credentials used for the registration. So that's why we please ask you to send us at support@wekeo.eu the name of your team and the username of each member of the team, so that we can create this virtual machine for you and link your accounts to this machine. As you might know, a virtual machine is a software that runs on a cloud infrastructure. And so the idea is that in the virtual machine, you can access data, you can run applications as you would do in a physical machine, with the advantage that you don't need to have additional storage for that, or that you don't need, another computer for that. So for this hackathon and Climathon, we will provide Linux-based virtual machines with the version Ubuntu 18.4. As I was saying, the credentials are different from your account, so you will have your account credentials, WekEO credentials that will be your name, related to your name. And then apart from that, you will have these Linux credentials that will be the same for the whole team. The configurations that we have decided to provide for the hackathon are 8 CPUs, 64 GB of RAM, and 2 TB of storage. There are 2 ways of accessing the WekEO virtual machines. Once you have an account set up, it will be easier to see. That's why we recommend to registered previously and send us your names, because then we can set up everything at a time, step by step, and not all the requests at the same time. So this dashboard can be accessed from here, virtual machines, and then we have to click in CAS. And here we have an example dashboard. So we have go to instances. I can see here there is this test DM Climathon I created before. So you will probably have something like that, some test, not test, but with different names, probably the names of your teams of the virtual machines. As I was saying, here we have two different virtual machines. So the VM1 would be for team 1, the other for team 2, and so on. And you also have an IP address here, and this is important. Sorry, you have an SSH here. That is important because you can also access your virtual machine through a terminal. In my case, I was using a Mac computer, but it is the same idea in Windows. And so you just type SSH, your name that will be set up for the Linux credentials. For example, I wrote here test name, and then the name of the SSH here. Now I have this, this is a test machine, so now it's empty, but the idea is that you can create files there and folders and access them through Linux commands. Finally, you can also create a script with Python, so you can even use the same, more or less similar script as in the Jupyter notebooks. And in these virtual machines, you can install also MATLAB software or Python, R. I mean, you can install any additional software that you want and that you have time for the hackathon. But we are not providing that software. WEkEO provides the access to the data and the access to the infrastructure, but then it's up to you, the users, to decide on any additional software that you might need. I'm gonna show you quickly what is the status of the Jupyter notebooks. I can see that now all the sections are run. So when there is one number appearing here on the left side, is that that part of the code has been completed successfully. And that's why I think it's good to just leave them running and then go and check what's in there. We have downloaded one product result. We have got our list of parameters, and we have a download link. So I can just click on this link, and this is creating a download file here. But I could just avoid this and just go directly through this download, and I will find my the product downloaded in the workspace. So if I click here, run it again, the file is downloading, and it should be available in this folder seconds ago. So it's this one, seconds ago. Let's see its concentration in the south. And finally, we can see a plot to access this data. This was especially done for this data set, but of course, it's taking some time. Oops, there's some mistake here. But the idea is that just to use it as another alternative to download the data. Finally, I would like to comment a little bit on the user support available for WEkEO. We can be contacted through a web form that is available on our website, or you can also send an email to support@wekeo.eu. We have experts from the 3 institutions, from UMETSAT, from ECMWF, and Mercator Ocean, and then from there you can send us your requests about specific data sets, and if necessary, the request will be forwarded to the expert on the field. As a reminder, I would like to please ask you to create your account, WEkEO account, before the 25th of October, using these guidelines that were agreed for this Copernicus Hackathon Climathon. And then also the organization name and your location. So probably it will be Epitech Toulouse or Epitech Bordeaux, Epitech Montpellier, or something like that. And for the request to the virtual machines, you should already have a group created, and you can send us, as I said before, the name of your team and the usernames of everyone, the WEkEO usernames, so that we can set up everything before the hackathon. You can also check the guidelines and more details about the registration in the previous tutorial that we did. And finally, if you want to join us, we have the web portal that you have already seen. We have a Twitter and the support. That is just this form and the email. Finally, I would like to know if you have any questions about WEkEO, about how to use it for the hackathon, and so I would say that's time for questions.
So for the questions, you have a button on the right of your screen, and you can write us your question. We will wait a few minutes to see if there is any question. Thank you, Marta, for this presentation.
Okay.
You have also to create your account on the different platforms for space data on our YouTube channel, some video tutorial to create your account and the steps to follow in order to do that. I will send an email to all participants with the link of that YouTube channel. And then you please see the video and follow the instruction to create your account. It seems that there is no questions. So it seems you have been very clear, Marta. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I cannot see it from. I'm looking both at a chat and questions part, and I cannot see any of them, so it should be okay.
Yes, and if you have any questions that come up later, please don't hesitate to send us an email to Marta or to boosternova@aerospacevalid.com. Thank you so much, and see you at the hackathon.
Thank you. See you there.